we are launching one of our flagship programs. We call it FPMS, that is Fleetpool Management Services. The branding is that we are working with private sector. We're not having our own pool. So we're working with a pool of private sector people, i.e. those who own cars, those who see them by the roadside having vehicles, those who are selling vehicles. And we're saying that there can be a model where by PPP, all of us can be sustainable. And so why don't we pull all of them together to have a fleet so that we can use our distributive muscle, we can use our inherent credibility, and we can use the automated or the automatic insurance that government has given GTDC. Because when you hear GTDC renting cars, your confidence level is high, isn't it? So if we have that access, if we have that certification of credibility, why don't we use that as a platform to really distribute tourism transportation? And that's exactly what we're doing, nothing complicated. We're saying that the government will partner private sector to facilitate transportation services in tourism. That way, our guests that are coming would have a lot more confidence. And we believe that we have the capacity to be your foot soldier, to do the marketing for you. So just be in your corner, register with us, give your cars to us. We'll do the legwork to look for the customers. We'll do the legwork to do the administrative stuff, to do the legwork to retain the customer, whilst you get your money and you give a little bit to government so that it can be a very satisfactory relationship. And that's exactly what we're doing. In fact, it is no different from the night tour. Again, it was established for private sector participation. So if you have your arrivals, we say we can organize a night tour for you, and then we can do that. And so that's the idea of the Fleetpool Management Services. I just put down a little bit of information here for more clarity. Why the Fleetpool Management Services? We're saying that we have to ensure quality service provisioning in tourism transportation. So we can pick up from the airport, we can drop off from the airport. We believe that we can have a list of drivers, that is driver database, that we can use to invite them for training. We can organize refresher training when we have an organized tour drivers. We can do capacity building when we have an organized tour drivers. We can do data, we can actually establish certain data points. For example, how long does it take from here to Kumasi? You might think that it's standardized, it's not. Depending on the situations, you probably can drive from here to Kumasi for 5 hours. Sometimes it can take you 7 hours. We need to track this data so that when we are informing the tourist who was coming, how long does it take from one point to one point, we can be specific about the data that we're giving them. Without having a very coordinated service like Fleetpool Management Services, we cannot get that data because everybody else is doing their things. I can understand the private person want to establish their business, but we know that in this country, collecting data from different points is very difficult. Now, GTDC, as a commercial arm of the tourism ministry, can take on that burden of having a very aggregated, very convincing data to feed the sector. And so we believe that when we have a Fleetpool management systems, we'll be able to do that. We're actually having a fleet management systems that we're going to install. We haven't completed that process, but we have to start. And when we start, I'm sure that incrementally we will arrive at the point that we want to get to. Again, we believe that when we do the Fleetpool management services, the orientation, we have access to organized tour drivers that we can give them orientation. You know, customer services is a big issue in this country. And so we have what we call the protocol, all right? We have established certain protocol to be a driver on a Fleetpool, things that you must know. we have to make sure that we're collecting the right identity data. We have to let them know that the tourist who is coming, they haven't written on their forehead whether they're rich people, they're poor people, whether they are from here or from that. And so you need to have a completely different kind of orientation in managing them. If you would not manage your own Ghanaians properly, well, that is a big issue. But for the international people, we can't take it for granted because they're selling the image of the country abroad. So we could begin to orientate the people in the sector, especially our drivers, who are the first point of call when they come into this country. And that's why we're doing this Fleetpool management. It is not a service that GTDC wants to take the job from the private sector and run the tour. No. All those people who have registered are private people who have agreed to bring their cars, and then we use our distributive arm to distribute the services. And we do revenue share.